Darcy Fitzwilliam is a young woman who works in New York City as a financial advisor at her partnered investment firm, Carson and Fitzwilliam. It can be deduced how easygoing, kind and friendly she is with a simple interaction between Darcy and a coffee shop owner named Desmond. She's a regular there, since it's around her office. Desmond breaks news of his son's college acceptance after she hands him a Christmas gift. Darcy is incredibly happy for them, and even offers to lower their minimums of investment for Desmond, who expresses that it would be a delight if he didn't have to work till old age to pay for his son's tuition. Later, Darcy wraps up a meeting with Mark Spencer, one of her most significant clients. He is reasonably satisfied with his decision of investing with Darcy, especially since his portfolio has grown 22% in just 8 months, as per Darcy's assistant, Erica. Erica is quite worried about Darcy, who looks like she's lacking happiness and excitement even amidst the jolly Christmas season. It's either because she needs a break from work, or her ex-boyfriend, Carl Downs. Either way, she has arranged Christmas presents for all her staff and has decided to visit her parents in her hometown, Pemberley. Her family is supposed to organize the Pemberley Leek Holiday Auction, which is a fundraiser for the Pemberley Youth Center. They only have a week, because the original host suddenly dropped out. Darcy, being somewhat of a workaholic, wants Erica and her business partner to update her with client details through mails and calls. Her partner seems to disagree with Darcy's idea of lower minimums, but they put off the topic for after the holidays. On her way to the airport, Darcy talks to her mother and discovers Carl is picking her up after she lands in Pemberley. It has only been a month since her breakup, and her parents had invited Carl over for the holidays before that. Carl also manages Darcy's father's New York office and had to meet him for work anyway. There is no relative awkwardness between them, since they ended on good terms and decided to remain friends. However, Darcy hopes he doesn't start expecting them to get back together, which he sort of does. Carl apologies for not being able to evade the meetings with Darcy's dad. He also expresses how unfortunate it was that they didn't work out because they couldn't make time for each other. He insists they are a really good match, but Darcy explains that she still needs some space. Darcy's mother, Gloria, tries some delicious food at a local restaurant in the meantime. She was unsure of her friend's recommendation at first, but she is quite impressed at the work of new owner and chef Luke Bennett. She immediately offers him a catering gig for the auction, since most other places are already booked. Taking this offer would help him finance his goals of complete rebranding of the restaurant, and also with getting recognition. Darcy arrives at home and is greeted by Gloria, who overreacts on seeing her. Even if this is her first time home in 3 years, Darcy reminds her they just met in the previous month in New York. Soon, they have tea together to discuss the plans for the auction. They don't have many big-ticket items for the event, which won't do, since this is an important event for Pemberley. It takes place every Christmas along with Pemberley carols, which Darcy really doesn't want to miss. Gloria has decided to order custom-designed Christmas trees for auctioning, since they raised quite a bit of money in some other charity events. Darcy confides in her mother that she feels weirdly empty and unsatisfied, despite loving her job. Gloria assures that she's proud of her, and so is Edward, Darcy's father. Darcy initially worked for Edward's company, but left to make something of her own in spite of his opposition. Darcy tells Gloria to keep her dilemma a secret, lest Edward use it against her and demand she rejoin his company. Gloria promises he won't bug her this time. Darcy has dinner plans with her old best friend, Kaylee. They're both super excited to see each other and never seem to run of things to talk about. Kaylee hesitantly brings up her new boyfriend, who will join them for dinner. It is Jim Bennett, the older brother of their old classmate, Luke Bennett, who will be there too, since they will be dining at his restaurant. Darcy is surprised but not much fazed, because even though they argued a lot, they were not major rivals or anything. Kaylee points out they didn't only fight because they were on the debate team, but they would also constantly bicker at other times. Jim is just expressing how proud he is of his brother's restaurant when the two girls walk in. Darcy and Luke greet each other, and Luke instantly mentions that it's surprising to hear Darcy say she misses Christmas season in Pemberley, after skipping the last couple ones. Darcy retorts that he hasn't been in town for a while either, and they have a little back and forth about who's stalking whom more. Darcy is a little disappointed by Luke's remark at how her success in the big city is still owing to her luck, despite her hard work, as in she must have it easy due to her family background. Their conversation then drifts to light banter and reminiscing old times. Once back home, Darcy meets her dad, who is very happy that this year their family will get to decorate their Christmas tree together, since her brother will be joining them soon. He mentions that it would make him happier if she could come work for him again, since she's feeling unsettled in her current situation. Darcy sighs and reminds him she wants to work independently, and at the moment she just needs a break. He promises not to bring it up again. The next morning, Darcy gives her mother all her ideas for making the auction a spectacular success, including placement for the dessert station, the dining room, and the addition of hors d'oeuvres on the menu. Gloria wants everything to turn out right, since their family name will be attached to this event. The doorbell rings and Gloria excitedly shows Darcy the new caterer, Luke, who has brought more samples for tasting. Both are surprised. Gloria remembers Luke from school and sums up that they'll be a great team again, and forces them to work together on catering and decoration. Darcy disagrees with the contents of Luke's theme and plans, since they clash with what she had in mind. But Luke cleverly convinces Gloria to favor his Winter Wonderland theme with a big fireplace and beef tenderloin, roasted honey figs, and Yule log on the menu. Darcy insists she had it planned better, and so Gloria's solution is to mold and mix their ideas. She tells Darcy to accept that sometimes you don't get to do all things your way, and reminds Luke that it'll be a good form of publicity for his restaurant. They both then reluctantly go shopping together for decor supplies. Darcy notices the preparations for Pemberley carols and wonders if they'll have enough time to come by. Luke smugly reminds her of his theme dominating Gloria's favor. Despite having experience in similar activities, it's still Luke's first time catering and Darcy's first time organizing a charity. They agree on that, and both are determined to give their best shot. Darcy then goes to fetch some auction items donated by a local gift shop. She notices the amazing Christmas tree in the window with all the pretty decorations, and compliments the owner of the store who made it. Her name is Charlene and she's a part-time interior designer, and is clearly good at her work, given the admirable decor of her store. She apologizes for only being able to donate so little, but Darcy expresses gratitude for it and promises to credit her. Since they have got all they need, it's time to return. Luke informs Darcy he can drop her off, but she has to start working by herself because he has to go prepare food for Kaylee's White Elephant Party, a kind of gift-exchanging festive party. Just then, Carl, on his way to a meeting, spots Darcy and stops to chat. They talk about business casually, but it gets awkward when it's time for introductions. When Carl leaves, Luke immediately catches on and wants to know what's up, but she just brushes it off. Later, Gloria suggests Darcy keep her work for later and attend Kaylee's party first. Amidst the hectic schedule, Darcy receives a worrying call from Erica. She learns that her business partners have supposedly scheduled a meeting excluding her. Darcy assumes the reason she has been deliberately left out of the partners' meeting is because they will probably be discussing Darcy's ideas and plans for the company, which they disagree with. She asks to be put in the meeting through conference when it takes place. Edward notices her tense call and asks about it, but Darcy doesn't elaborate. At Kaylee's gift party, Darcy chooses a gift and ends up with a cute apron, and she's forced to keep it on until at least New Year's, as per the rules. Luke, on the other hand, gets bunny ears. Darcy jokes that she's taking it off in the car. She is looking to leave early, since there's so much work pending. Luke catches on that there's more to her worry than just the auction. Darcy mentions the issues at work, but reels the topic away without any details. Luke asks her to drop the mysteriousness, because knowing her, sooner or later, she'll eventually tell him about the problems with her company, and what the deal with the Carl guy is. When he offers any help she might need, she curtly declines it because she can take care of it herself. Later, as Darcy leaves, she bumps into Luke taking out the trash. Luke suggests they get out of there quickly, since they're right under the mistletoe. Darcy finds it ridiculous, the whole mistletoe in the doorway thing, the superstitions of it warding off evil spirits, the kissing tradition, and she even thinks it might be a poisonous plant. She catches her old debate rival at his weak point, which is not knowing the significance of a mistletoe kiss. Luke makes a note to research on that, and then playfully suggests they fulfill the tradition, meaning kiss under the mistletoe. Darcy sassily remarks that it'll never happen. Parker, Darcy's brother, and his wife Monica arrive the next morning, while she's still sleeping. She wakes up and goes down to find them chatting with their parents. Parker is a doctor, and after laborious night shifts, he stood his ground and finally managed to get a week off for Christmas. He also got a promotion recently. Darcy greets them both, and her parents are incredibly happy to have the whole family together after so long. When Parker mentions them as six together, Darcy corrects him and talks about her unfortunate breakup with Carl. But it turns out they aren't talking about Carl. The couple is having a baby soon, and this news shakes up the whole room with joy and excitement. When everyone leaves to get drinks to celebrate, Darcy sincerely congratulates her brother for his success in life, and he realizes she feels a lack of the same in her own life. He insists she makes them all proud, and although their father has stopped his persistence, he still probably wants her to take over his business after he retires. Darcy desires a complete and a beautiful settled life, but wonders if she's the type to be dissatisfied no matter what. Parker reminds her that she might be searching in the wrong places for said satisfaction and contentment. Soon, Gloria is met with the distressing news of the tree designer canceling on them because she overbooked herself. Gloria begins regretting taking up an important event in the first place, but Darcy asks her not to worry. Darcy goes with Luke to pick up 3 donations of trees from a lot downtown, while Gloria figures out what to do with the designing. Darcy wants to go by herself using Parker's truck, but her mother has already set up Luke for the task. When they arrive, Darcy goes to talk to the owner herself. She expects some help from the man, but wants none from Luke. When the owner doesn't seem to care, she picks one of the trees up by herself, and while carrying it, knocks out a whole line of them. Luke then grabs the opportunity to make her admit that she really needs his help. She reluctantly obliges. They apologize to the owner and pick up the other trees while having a laugh about it. Luke then asks her why she tries to do every task like she's proving something to someone. Darcy explains that she wants to remove any assumptions of her having everything handed to her all her life, because she was raised by a rich and stable family. She reminds Luke that he thinks the same, given what he said about her luck earlier. Luke explains he didn't mean it that way. He admits he used to be envious of her, and thought it was all luck, but he realized she only made it seem that way because she was skilled enough to make everything look easy to pull off. He assures her everyone in Pemberley would agree that she's doing great with her own strength right now. Darcy also admits she left her father's company after working there for a while. She learned a lot there, but when she was supposed to get promoted, she didn't take it because she didn't want to work with subordinates who obviously thought she didn't deserve that position. Luke reminds her she doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. Darcy thanks him, and they both quickly brush off the awkwardness of being genuinely nice to each other. As instructed, Erica wires Darcy into the secret meeting, and all her partners are taken aback. They use the excuse of not wanting to bother Darcy during her vacation with unimportant details, but Darcy claims she would want to know all the details, trivial or not, even if she's on vacation. So they stop beating around the bush and tell her that they all agree to only take investors who pass the minimums as clients, since they're trying to get to the top in Wall Street. Darcy thinks getting all potential investors is actually benefiting said goal, but all her partners hold their opinions. They hint at her to cave in or sell her shares and leave the company. This angers Darcy, and she shouts that she will not be doing that. They leave the discussion for until after the holidays. Gloria is still having a hard time finding a designer on such short notice. Darcy suddenly has a brilliant idea, and she executes it immediately. She goes to ask Charlene if she could buy her beautifully decorated Christmas tree, and asks her to design 5 more trees in a similar way. It's a lot of work in a short time, but she promises the entire family's help. And it would be a good opportunity to get some recognition for her interior designing skills. She agrees, and they pick up the tree in Luke's truck. Everyone is glad that they could save the idea of design trees. A few great ones are still better than none. Now they have something that will be auctioned off for quite a bit of money. Darcy is also glad that they found an underrated designer like Charlene, who will also get her share of benefits from the event. Luke compliments her kindness and thoughtfulness, and she jokingly asks him to keep it a secret. Since they have nothing much to do until Charlene arrives, they decide to pay the Pemberley Carrolls a visit. Darcy longs for the roasted chestnuts too, and is stunned to know Luke never tried them, which is disappointing for a chef. She forces him to get some, and if he doesn't like them, well, all the more for her. But he ends up liking them, and instantly conjures up a dish with roasted chestnuts in his mind. She admires his dedication and love for his job. He gets it from his father, who was a disciplined and dedicated chef himself. Luke wanted to work together with his father, who wanted it just as much, or even more. But due to his unfortunate passing away, he is now doing it all by himself. Darcy recalls how good of a man Luke's dad was. He would never miss any of his debates. Luke claims he'd be grateful to even become half the man he was. Luke blames himself for not being able to work with his dad, because he moved out to save up while he was still alive. He says when you have an opportunity to do something that you want, you don't put it off for another day, you do it right away. Darcy claims that the same logic led to her breakup with Carl. Luke is smug that he finally got her to spill the beans, although he could tell from the awkwardness between them, and also the glares from Carl coming his way. Darcy admits Carl was the perfect guy with a perfect life, but somehow she felt the need to take a step back and look at the broader picture, and then she hesitated to step back in. Luke says the same was the case for his last relationship. Just because a relationship appears perfect in vision doesn't mean it should work out. Kaylee points out they're sitting under the mistletoe, and that reminds Luke he still hasn't done his research. To be fair, he was quite busy. Darcy quietly remarks that Luke is every ounce of the man his dad was, and gives him a peck. The family decorate their own Christmas tree. Dad and son put their perfectionist skills to work, and Luke helps Darcy put on the tree topper. Gloria is upset because the ticket sales for the auction have sunk quite low, possibly because of rumors about it not turning out so great as a last-minute rushed event. Luke suggests they send out emails to all members of the Pemberley League, along with Edward's clientele, and emphasize the benefits this auction would yield for the Pemberley Youth Center. The warm family moment is interrupted by another bad news-bearing call from Erica. Darcy's partner just stole one of her clients. They're planning to drive her out of her own firm. Darcy still remains firm on her stance and asks Erica to get in touch with Mark Spencer, her most important client, and inform him of current events, lest he be swayed by the other partner's words. Luke notices her distraught after the call and wonders if everything's going fine. Darcy informs him of the betrayal from her partners, and how she's disappointed after trusting people for once. Luke assures her that it happens to everyone, and on the bright side, a lot of people still recognize her value. The next day, Gloria asks Darcy to pick up a banner for the auction from the Pemberley Youth Center, since she's unable to do so because of an urgent meeting with the Pemberley League Board. They hope it's not arranged in order to cancel the event altogether. At the youth center, the director shows Luke and Darcy how much the auction helps provide art, music, and sports equipments and other facilities for the kids, who thank them with a lovely small card. They watch the newly formed youth choir perform, and it clicks them that they could put a video of the choir in the emails to the guests, and it would definitely grab the attention of more people. They filmed the choir and grabbed the banners. Luke suddenly claims he doesn't want his pay for the catering, and that he wants to put it up for the event instead. Darcy refuses at first, because he could use the money for his restaurant renovations, but eventually agrees. Also, getting acknowledged by the guests at the auction would do more than well for him. Since most of them are investors, they won't leave out an opportunity to invest in great food. Darcy tries reaching her client Mark, but the call goes to voicemail. Later, her father informs her that he'll be in New York soon and will be looking forward to dining with Darcy, and Carl invites himself too, perhaps an attempt to rekindle their relationship. Gloria returns from the board meeting with good news. That is, the event is not cancelled. So they proceed with adding the choir video to the email blast, with the help of Kaylee and Luke. Darcy promises a shout out to Kaylee's graphic designing skills, and of course Luke's donation of catering services to the event. Darcy helps Luke come up with a great name for his restaurant, Luke's Table. She jokes that he's not the only one around with great ideas. While helping carrying Charlene's stuff, the two have a playful snowball fight. Charlene explains her plans for decorating the trees, and she mentions that everyone needs to pitch in so that it's done on time. Carl watches Darcy get along with Luke as they poke fun at each other while working. Darcy gets low-spirited after knowing that her partner stole yet another client from her, a solid one too. Carl notices that she's upset and tells her to forget their business or personal relationship, and just know that he's always there for her. Darcy is grateful for that. Darcy and her dad share a chocolate pie for a midnight snack as they talk about work. Darcy wonders if he loves to work, and he sure does, but it's more about leaving a print in the business world after you leave than how you feel about your job. Darcy admits he's made his own legendary name, hence why he would want her to continue running it along with Carl. But that plan guarantees Edward's happiness, not Darcy's. He wants the best for her, but she doesn't even know what's best for her. Darcy admits to being cornered and pushed out at her firm, and Edward suggests fighting back. But there's no personal win or loss in this fight, so there's no point. He reminds her that walking away is not a sign of weakness either. Darcy joins Luke to help with the meal prep, now that the number of guests has shot up after the emails. Thanks to her, he has added chestnut pies to the menu. They joke around, and even dance to Christmas songs which Darcy deems fit for third-grade recitals. He shows her the place cards he's gonna put on the tables, inspired from his childhood Christmas memories. She's amazed at how he always knows exactly what he wants and how to get it done. He really loves his job. Darcy loves her job too, but in a different way than her colleagues. She'd rather think of the investors as people with stories than just clients or accounts, and she hopes to make a change in her sector. Luke thinks she's still making a difference, just by genuinely wanting to help people become financially secure. On the day of the event, Kaylee and Darcy decide the red dress looks better on Darcy than the black one. Kaylee wonders if that'll help her impress a certain man. Darcy assures her she's not planning to get back together with Carl, and this week had made her certain of that. Kaylee wonders if that's because of her newfound chemistry with Luke. Her and Jim both noticed a glimmer in the eyes of the two of them recently. Darcy says it's because they're both accomplishing a goal together, but she doesn't deny the attraction. However, she knows it won't work, because they have different lives in different cities. Kaylee says it's not so bad to change her location, along with her business. Gloria introduces Sally, a member of the Pemberley board, to both Darcy and Luke. Luke is worried about the serving staff, who are running late. Sally goes inside to try everything on the menu, and Luke reveals the source of worry. The serving company accidentally booked for a day later, and they have no servers to send for the following evening. Which means, other than Luke's restaurant staff, they have nobody. Luckily, Monica has some experience waitressing, along with Parker, who can handle the bar. Jim and Kaylee join too, but even then, they are short-staffed. Just in time, the director of Pemberley Youth comes by to see if they need any help. The next best idea is to get some kids from the youth center to participate in serving. It makes the event more personal and ardent. As the women get ready for the awaited evening, Darcy ponders on acts of service and how she's wanting to do more of them. She wants to be involved with people, and not just superficially. The event starts, and Luke is stunned to see Darcy come down looking great in the red dress. They both compliment each other, along with a few jokes of course. Carl notices this exchange between them. They split to arrange for the unveiling of the trees, which was Darcy's idea of suspense. Darcy unexpectedly bumps into her client, Mark Spencer. Erica sent him there after he responded to her numerous calls. He had been off calls for his vacation in Pocono. Darcy tries to explain her difference with her partners, but he already has an idea of the workplace drama that was unfolding, and he is confident about being on Darcy's ship, no matter where she goes. He says integrity is very crucial in financial dealings, and he trusts her. Luke shares good news, which is Sally taking an interest in his restaurant and being willing to discuss business with him. Darcy also has something to say, but it's time for the trees to be revealed. The guests are amazed by them, and then charmed once again by the performance of the choir. Darcy then gives a small speech, along with introductions and deserved credits. The auction is set to begin soon. Everyone takes to the dance floor before that, and Kaylee urges Darcy, and Luke to dance together. Darcy reveals she has made an important decision for herself, since being with her family and experiencing and realizing lots of things this week has inspired her to take this big step. Before she can tell him, Carl interrupts. He can sense what's going on between her and Luke, and he's apprehensive of it. He asks her about it, and she cannot deny it fully. He reminds her of New York, their jobs and relationship, and how good of a match they are. He wants her to come back, because they can make it work. Darcy tells him that they both deserve more than just good. They deserve something more real, something genuine, and not just picture perfect. He is disappointed, but he accepts her answer and tells her he's off to New York. Luke witnesses this exchange and gets the wrong idea. He assumes Darcy's big step was to get back with her ex. He conveys this to Jim and Kaylee, who don't believe it. Jim tells him it's alright, and he should focus on his success instead. Luke heads out for some air. Meanwhile, Darcy goes to her dad, who knows what happened already, and is glad that Carl is a professional who keeps personal life out of work. Edward is still somewhat disappointed with the turn of things though. Darcy thanks him for teaching her everything she knows, and not just about work, but about everything. He admits she inherited all his strengths and none of his weaknesses. Darcy unexpectedly suggests they combine their strengths. She offers to join his board. She would manage his business as long as he agreed to have an angel investment arm that supports funding small businesses and has no minimums. Edward agrees readily. Darcy even makes him agree to a philanthropist foundation plan. After all, he always wanted her to work with him. Darcy then rushes out to break the news to Luke first, but she can't seem to find him. Parker and Monica are surprised to know she wants to move back to Pemberley. Kaylee and Jim inform her of the misunderstanding that occurred, and they all look for Luke, but there's no sign of him. The bidding starts, but Darcy wastes no time and borrows Jim's car to go search. But luckily she runs into Luke before she can leave. He had been talking to Sally about his restaurant by her car. He is visibly upset at first, and then confused when Darcy clears up about what happened with Carl. She then announces her big plan of staying in Pemberley while working with her dad, because her heart belongs there, specifically with a certain kind, funny, handsome and supportive man who taught her what it's like to be a team. They're under the mistletoe again, but this time Luke is prepared with ancient facts. The moment he starts talking about the mistletoe fable, Darcy interrupts him with a kiss, fulfilling the tradition she once said would never happen.